Eating out should be fun, right? A break from cooking, a chance to relax and enjoy food that someone else prepared. But hold on to your forks, America, because today we're diving into a tasty world of disappointment. Before you order another freshly prepared meal from these popular chains, you might want to buckle up your taste buds for a reality check. Yep, those flashy commercials and friendly mascots might promise culinary bliss, but they're often hiding secrets so stomach-churning they'd put horror movies to shame. Think about it. Are you really craving microwaved, plastic-wrapped dinners, expired ingredients camouflaged as gourmet delights, or perhaps a side order of bacteria with that salad? Probably not, but that's exactly what you might be getting at some of America's favorite restaurants. Spoiler alert, your appetite might vanish faster than your server when you ask for extra ketchup. Today we're naming names and serving up truths that these restaurant chains desperately hope you won't uncover. From reheated fresh entrees and cleverly disguised mystery meats to inspections that reveal kitchens dirtier than your gym socks, you're about to find out why dining at these 6 restaurants isn't just a gamble for your taste buds, but possibly your health too. So grab some popcorn that you've safely microwaved yourself at home, thank you very much, and let's get into the gritty details that these eateries would rather sweep under their suspiciously greasy rugs. 1. Applebee's Microwave Gourmet and Questionable Grill. Applebee's markets itself as your friendly neighborhood grill, but behind those kitchen doors, the microwave is working far harder than the grill. Multiple insiders admit the majority of Applebee's food is pre-packaged and simply reheated in microwaves. One former Applebee's line cook bluntly wrote, "The amount of food cooked in a microwave is pretty high." In fact, some locations even prep big batches of food for the entire week, storing them in fridges and freezers and zapping portions as orders come in. Imagine getting served something that's been sitting in a plastic bag in the fridge all week. At Applebee's, you probably have. It gets worse. An investigative food journalist went undercover as an Applebee's cook and discovered expired ingredients and even bits of plastic in the food. In her book, The American Way of Eating, Tracy McMillan revealed that Applebee's mashed potatoes were used well past their expiration date, and the pre-cut broccoli was heated in its plastic bag until bits of plastic flaked into the florets. You're sending out sides with little flakes of plastic stuck on them. If I were a diner, I'd think it was salt, McMillan said of the shocking practice. So that healthy side of veggies might come with a side of microplastics. And about that grill? It might be just for show. Steaks are one of the few items not nuked. A cook will throw your underdone steak back on the grill for a minute if you send it back, but virtually everything else is microwaved or boiled in bag. Former employees have likened the kitchen to an assembly line, not a restaurant. As one viral confession put it, you're not ordering dinner, you're activating a microwave meal with table service. When an Applebee's entree does hit your table, it can be downright sad. One customer posted a photo of a steak that arrived gray, limp, and shaped like a pancake that gave up on life. "Rare steak should never be gray," the fed-up diner wrote in a review. Another commenter quipped, "That thing looks like it lost the will to grill." In other words, Applebee's steaks can be so lifeless that even medium rare comes out looking medium gray. Food safety is a concern as well. When so much arrives pre-cooked and vacuum-sealed from a factory, any slip-up in storage can invite bacteria. Internal temperature logs from some Applebee's kitchens have shown meats held at unsafe temperatures above 50 degrees for extended times, a bacteria party waiting to happen. In one state, an Applebee's location racked up 7 health code violations in a single inspection, from improper food holding temps to general filth. So, it's telling that the only things Applebee's reliably makes fresh are its cocktails, and even those might use bottom-shelf booze. Former bartenders admit those neon $1 margaritas are made with the cheapest tequila available, watered down in big batches. One Instagram video exposed staff mixing a gallon of bargain tequila, a gallon of margarita concentrate, and 3 gallons of tap water in a plastic bucket on the floor to create dollaritas. Cheers to that, right? At Applebee's, the drinks might get you buzzed, but they're probably masking the mediocrity of the microwaved meal you're washing down. 2. Subway. Eat fresh. Try rotting and mystery meats. Subway sells itself as the fresh, healthy sandwich stop. But calling Subway fresh is like calling day-old bread fresh out of the oven. Let's start with the infamous tuna. In 2021, a lab test by the New York Times made national headlines when it found no amplifiable tuna DNA in Subway's tuna sandwich samples. That's right, scientists couldn't even identify it as tuna. The lab concluded the tuna was either so heavily processed that the DNA was unrecognizable, or there was no actual tuna present at all. Subway, of course, denied this, insisting it uses 100% real wild-caught tuna, but a lawsuit alleging the tuna isn't real was filed in 2021 nonetheless. By 2023, that high-profile lawsuit was dismissed on technicalities, but Subway never fully shook the fake tuna stigma. After all, the chain has a history of mystery ingredients. Around the same time, Ireland's Supreme Court ruled Subway's bread can't legally even be called bread, because it's loaded with so much sugar, about 10% sugar by flour weight, that it legally qualifies as confectionery, i.e. cake, not bread. Yes, your Subway whole grain roll has more sugar than some donuts. No wonder it tastes more like dessert than a healthy lunch. The freshness of other ingredients is similarly suspect. Vegetables at some Subway locations have been found looking outright ghastly. There are viral photos of Subway bins with brown lettuce, half-rotten tomatoes, and cucumbers swimming in murky fluid. One New Jersey Subway's veggies looked like they'd been soaking in mop water, an image you can't unsee. And if the produce looks bad before it goes on your sandwich, imagine the bacteria load it carries. In fact, multiple Subway stores have been dinged by health inspectors for things like slimy lettuce and veggies kept at unsafe temperatures. In one instance, inspectors found pest activity, bugs, around the prep area and employees who failed to wash hands properly. Subway's slogan says "Eat fresh," but too often it's more like "Eat festering." Meat isn't much better. Former employees have blown the whistle on Subway's practice of altering expiration labels to make ingredients seem fresher than they are. In one stomach-churning confession, a Subway worker posted video proof that his boss ordered staff to scrape the date stickers off expired food containers and put new later dates on them. "My boss makes us change the day dots. Food is nasty and spoiled," the employee wrote, desperate for advice on whom to report this to. That video prompted other Subway employees to chime in. One said they were told to just cut off the moldy parts of cheese and serve the rest, or trim rotting ends off tomatoes rather than discard them. Another admitted, "I was made to put out moldy spinach for customers." When workers are literally told to serve around the mold, you know the freshness ship has sailed. Customers have suffered the consequences. Consider the horrifying story of one former customer who bit into a Subway meatball sub only to chew on something fuzzy. He described a weird texture followed by the unmistakable taste of rot. He spat it out and found a chunk of fuzzy green mold baked into the meatball. "I felt the immediate need to vomit," he said, and nearly didn't make it to the bathroom in time. Now imagine why that happened. Likely because those meatballs were well past any safe date and someone had simply changed a label rather than tossed them. After seeing the employee video about swap stickers, that customer grimly remarked, "It's pretty clear why and how this happened." Even if the ingredients were fresh, Subway has other issues, like what exactly you're eating. We talked about the questionable tuna. How about the chicken? A Canadian lab test in 2017 found Subway's chicken was only about 50% actual chicken DNA, with the rest soy filler, far more filler than other fast food chicken, G8+. Subway disputed those findings, but the reputation stuck. Their oven-roasted chicken might be half soy. Between the filler-filled meats and sugar-filled bread, that healthy Subway sandwich starts looking like a nutritional imposter. Finally, cleanliness is no guarantee. There are reports of truly unsanitary prep practices. One inspector observed a Subway worker wiping down a counter with a dirty rag, then immediately using that same rag to wipe lettuce. Salad sabotaged. In another case, a location was temporarily shut after inspectors found rodent droppings on the food storage shelves. Yes, eat fresh, not feces. The pattern is clear: corner cutting on quality and hygiene to save a buck. Subway's everywhere and it's cheap, But those $5 footlongs can cost you more than you realize, possibly in the form of a queasy stomach or worse. The next time you think of ordering the tuna or grabbing a quick sub, remember, fresh is just a marketing slogan. Reality at Subway is a lot staler and scarier. 3. Taco Bell mystery beef, expired ingredients, and late-night lax standards. Taco Bell has built an empire as the go-to for late-night munchies and Mexican-inspired quick bites. Crunchwrap Supremes, Doritos Locos Tacos, Baja Blasts. The brand is fun and edgy, but behind the neon signs and goofy commercials lies a menu filled with mystery meats and questionable handling practices that might turn your stomach faster than a $1 burrito. Let's talk beef, if we can call it that. In 2011, Taco Bell was rocked by a lawsuit alleging its seasoned beef was only about 35% actual beef. The rest a slurry of fillers, binders, and additives. Taco Bell fought back aggressively and the suit was dropped, but in the PR scramble, the company did reveal what's in its taco meat. Turns out Taco Bell's beef is 88% beef and 12% signature recipe. That remaining 12% includes things you definitely don't find in Grandma's taco recipe. Modified cornstarch, soy lecithin, maltodextrin, anti-dusting agents, and even silicon dioxide. Silicon dioxide, by the way, is basically sand. It's used as an anti-caking agent in processed foods, and yes, Taco Bell puts a pinch of the beach in your burrito filling. While all these additives are FDA approved, it's a stark reminder that Taco Bell's meat is heavily engineered. One food safety outlet put it bluntly, Taco Bell's beef is mostly not beef. Even when it is beef, it's low-grade, heavily processed beef. The kind that's pre-cooked, flash-frozen, and shipped in bulk. Taste testers often describe Taco Bell meat as having a weirdly soft, almost spongy texture and a sweet aftertaste, likely thanks to the added sugar and binders. It's beef, Jim, but not as we know it. But low-quality ingredients are only part of the problem. The other part is how Taco Bell handles those ingredients in store, especially when no one's looking. Employees have reported horror stories of expired food being served and basic food safety rules ignored. One former Taco Bell employee leaked that they discovered sour cream that had expired days ago still being spooned onto tacos. Another recounted how nacho cheese would be left in the warmer way past its hold time, developing a crusty layer, and managers would just stir it and serve anyway. And a viral Reddit thread saw a Taco Bell worker claim someone spilled a whole bottle of floor cleaner into the deep fryer, and the manager's response was jaw-dropping. "We're not dumping the oil. The cleaner is non-toxic. Keep frying." You read that right. Rather than lose a fryer of oil and shut down that station, they allegedly kept frying food in oil contaminated with cleaning chemical because it's non-toxic. The result? Chalupas with a hint of disinfectant, anyone? Cleanliness issues don't end there. Independent food safety inspections have found mold and grime in Taco Bell soda fountains and ice machines. One undercover review found a black sludge lining a Taco Bell's ice bin. Another franchise's fountain nozzles were described as having visible mold growth. Think about that the next time you're sipping your Mountain Dew Baja Blast. That blast might include a shot of mildew. Taco Bell kitchens, particularly during busy late-night shifts, can descend into chaos. Former workers say that when the bar rush hits at 1 a.m., all food safety checks go out the window. During rush, we'd skip temperature logs completely just to keep the line moving, one ex-manager confessed. That means tubs of ground beef and shredded cheese could be sitting out for hours in the danger zone, 40 to 140 degrees, with no temperature checks. If a tray of chicken starts running low, staff might just dump fresh hot chicken on top of older chicken that's been out, potentially cross-contaminating new with old. It's exactly these kinds of shortcuts that lead to foodborne illness outbreaks. We also have to address Taco Bell's beans. Customers love those bean burritos. Little do they know how those beans are made in store. A former employee's TikTok went viral when he showed Taco Bell's refried bean cooking process. It starts as a bag of brownish powder. Add hot water, stir, and voila, some refried beans, aka rehydrated bean paste. No slow-cooked pintos, no authentic seasoning, just dehydrated bean flour, artificial flavors, and water making a kind of bean soup cement, as one commenter put it. It's efficient, sure, but appetizing? Another commenter who thought they were eating hearty fiber exclaimed, "Turns out it was bean-flavored paste." If the idea of beans from a powder doesn't sit right, well, welcome to fast food reality. Quality control at Taco Bell can be hilariously bad. Customers often share photos of what they ordered versus what they got. One image of a taco with maybe 2 teaspoons of meat and a pathetic sprinkling of lettuce made the rounds online. It looked half empty, as if someone had already eaten the filling. The top comment, "That taco looks like it regrets being born." Another joked, "Bro, blink twice if you're okay." When Taco Bell was sued in 2023 for false advertising for allegedly showing much fuller crunch wraps and Mexican pizzas in ads than they serve in reality, the complaint included side-by-side photos. The ads showed plump, overstuffed items. The real customer photos were sad, flat, and skimpy. The lawsuit noted Taco Bell was selling 50% less filling than advertised in some cases. While that case is still pending, anyone who's unwrapped a Taco Bell item only to find the contents shifted to one side, or mostly tortilla and no filling, can relate. Taco Bell's food often looks nothing like the pictures, and that's the least of your worries, frankly, when sour cream might be expired and the lettuce might be unwashed. And yet, despite all this, people flock to Taco Bell, lured by the low prices and wild menu creations. Looking at you, Dorito Shell Taco. The flavors are engineered, literally, to hit our bliss points of salt, fat, and crunch, all while being dirt cheap to produce. But behind that satisfying crunch is a reality of cut corners. Cheap food means cheap ingredients and labor shortcuts. So the next time you consider a midnight Taco Bell run, remember, you might get a quick thrill from that cheesy gordita crunch, but you could also be rolling the dice on old ingredients and sloppy food safety. Don't let the late-night craving trick you. At Taco Bell, you truly get what you pay for better or often worse. 4. Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family, and the family kitchen is a mess. Olive Garden has long sold Americans an idealized version of Italian family dining. Unlimited breadsticks, big bowls of salad, heaping plates of pasta Alfredo. It's comfort food and nostalgia all under the tagline, "When you're here, you're family." Well, if Olive Garden is family, it's the kind of family that cuts serious corners in the kitchen and hopes you don't notice. Because behind the faux Tuscan decor and endless soup and salad lies a kitchen more akin to a factory assembly line than Nonna's Cucina. And in recent years, Olive Garden's reputation has taken a hit from food safety scandals and declining quality that would make any Italian grandmother weep into her cannoli. First off, almost nothing at Olive Garden is truly made from scratch in-house. Former employees have spilled that pasta is often pre-boiled in the morning, then cooled and bagged for later use, not made to order. One Quora user who worked there explained that each day cooks boil huge batches of pasta, then dunk them in ice baths and portion into bags. When you order, they simply reheat the pasta in hot water and toss it with sauce right before plating. And that famous Alfredo sauce? It's not simmering on the stove all day. It's made in big batches from a canned sauce base, pumped up with some added cheese and milk, then portioned into gallon-sized plastic bags. Those bags are chilled and stored. When it's dinner rush, chefs pull an Alfredo bag from the fridge and dunk it in boiling water to reheat. Snip it open, pour over pasta, and send it out. In other words, your fettuccine Alfredo at Olive Garden was likely assembled from pre-cooked pasta and bagged sauce that was boiled in bag to order. It works. The sauce stays consistent that way, but calling it fresh or homemade is a stretch. As one former employee quipped, "You're basically paying to have a freezer meal heated up and plated for you." Even the breadsticks, the pride of Olive Garden, aren't quite as fresh as you think. Yes, they're baked on site, but they arrive par-baked and frozen with an odd detail. In 2024, a TikTok went viral when a customer found black printed letters on the underside of their breadstick, apparently transferred from the packaging. Olive Garden confirmed that sometimes the ink from the breadstick bag can imprint on the bread. So those warm, soft breadsticks were at some point sitting in a bag long enough to pick up the label ink. Delizioso. To their credit, Olive Garden says the ink is food grade and harmless, but still, ink on your bread is not exactly old world charm. Now consider food safety and cleanliness. For a restaurant that serves unlimited salad, you'd hope they handle produce carefully. Yet Olive Garden's had some nasty surprises. Perhaps the most grotesque. A customer in Michigan alleged in 2023 that their bowl of minestrone soup had a severed rat's foot floating in it. Yes, you read that correctly. A rat's foot complete with claws. The patron, Thomas Howie, said he actually put the object in his mouth, felt a stabbing pain from the claw, then spat out a rat appendage. He understandably sought medical care, who knows what diseases a random rodent could carry, and filed a complaint. Olive Garden flatly denied that it was possible, but photos and news reports circulated and the damage was done. True or not, the idea that a rat could end up in the soup at the family restaurant is enough to make anyone lose their appetite. If that were a one-off, it'd be bad enough. But Olive Garden has had multiple issues. A viral TikTok in 2021 by a supposed former employee showed something straight out of a horror movie. Slugs crawling inside the soda machine drip tray at their Olive Garden. According to the video, the fountain had a terrible slug problem. The gooey critters were getting into the beverage station, likely drawn by the sugar. Seeing live slugs emerging from the drink dispenser is beyond gross. Cue the flubber sound effects with your Coke. Management's response was reportedly lackluster, which tracks with another recent revelation. A 2024 health inspection report for Nashville, NC Olive Garden found multiple critical violations, including employees not washing hands, not wearing hairnets around food, and other sanitation lapses. 3 of the violations were marked critical, meaning they could directly contribute to foodborne illness. So much for high standards. If the staff aren't washing hands or wearing hair restraints, it's no wonder some customers find short black hairs in their fettuccine. Yes, that's a real complaint that popped up online with an accompanying photo captioned, "Tell me this is seasoning, please." Unsurprisingly, turnover is high. One former dishwasher joked their cleaning protocol was basically hope and bleach fumes. Yikes. Quality has also taken a nosedive. Longtime customers often say Olive Garden's food tastes more prepackaged and processed than it used to. Want proof? In a brutal Reddit thread, a diner recounted how they once bought a frozen lasagna from the grocery store that tasted oddly of plastic, and then later ordered Olive Garden's lasagna and it tasted exactly the same as the one from the grocery store. The taste of plastic was overwhelming, they said, suggesting Olive Garden's dish was indistinguishable from a mass-produced frozen entree. Others chimed in that Olive Garden's pastas nowadays have that industrial chain restaurant uniformity, heavy on salt, light on authenticity. It seems that as the company looked to cut costs, they've resorted to more centralized prep and cheaper ingredients, losing any homemade touch. Even the beloved unlimited salad isn't safe. Employees have mentioned the signature Italian dressing comes in giant bags, pre-mixed, and the olives in the salad are bathed in a chemical preservative solution so strong it used to make their fingers numb when prepping. Would you like some formaldehyde with your salad? All of this has eroded Olive Garden's image. They once wanted us to feel like we were at an Italian grandmother's table. Now it's hard not to imagine a big Cisco truck unloading frozen bags of soup and sauce each morning. The illusion of family and fresh is as wilted as the lettuce at closing time. And serious incidents like the alleged rat's foot and documented slug invasion raise the question, how safe is it to eat here? At minimum, it's clear that corners have been cut on sanitation and quality control. Unlimited breadsticks and salad might fill you up, but they shouldn't come with pests or hair or chemical flavors. If you're craving Italian, you might be better off at a local trattoria, or even a microwave meal at home, rather than this chain which seems to be coasting on former glory. When you're here, you're family, but that might just mean they're okay with serving you yesterday's pasta and a side of "oops, didn't see that in the soup." 5. Chipotle, fresh image, frequent food poisoning. Chipotle burst onto the scene years ago as the antidote to fast food, a place where you could get food with integrity, build your own burrito with locally sourced produce, responsibly raised meats, the works. For a while, it seemed like the healthiest choice in the quick service universe. But Chipotle's shiny reputation was severely tarnished by a series of food poisoning outbreaks that sent hundreds of customers to the hospital and made Chipotle and E. coli appear in the same sentence far too often. In fact, in the last decade, Chipotle has been associated with more high-profile outbreaks of foodborne illness than any other fast casual chain. Norovirus, Salmonella, E. coli, Chipotle has served them all up unintentionally. The result? Over 100 people sick across the U.S. from 2015 to 2018, according to the Department of Justice. It got so bad that in 2020, Chipotle actually paid a record $25 million fine to resolve criminal charges stemming from these outbreaks, the largest food safety fine in U.S. history. That's right, Chipotle's healthy image masked what DOJ prosecutors called hundreds of customers getting sick because employees failed to follow basic food safety protocols. So what went so wrong at Chipotle? Ironically, it was the same things the chain bragged about: fresh, minimally processed ingredients prepared in-store. See, when you have raw produce and raw meats being handled constantly by hastily trained staff and huge throughput of customers, you need rock-solid safety practices. Chipotle claimed to have them. In reality, especially during its rapid expansion, training and supervision lagged, and corners were cut in the rush to serve lines out the door. A deep dive investigation in 2021 revealed that Chipotle's relentless push for throughput, fast service, combined with understaffing, led employees to do unsanitary things just to keep up. According to interviews, some Chipotle workers admitted they faked temperature log entries, meaning they just pencil whipped the required checks of food holding temps rather than actually taking the readings because they were too busy. Others said when the restaurant got slammed, even hand washing went out the window unless a health inspector was literally watching. Cross-contamination was common. A knife that just cut raw chicken might get a quick wipe and then be used to chop lettuce during a lunch rush. One employee recalled an incident where a sick worker kept handling food, and indeed a norovirus outbreak in Boston in 2015 was traced to an ill Chipotle employee who vomited and was told to keep working, subsequently infecting over 140 people with norovirus via the food. It was such incidents that led prosecutors to say Chipotle failed to ensure employees understood and followed food safety protocols, creating the conditions for outbreaks. Even aside from outright outbreaks, Chipotle can be a gut bomb. A lot of folks have stories of upset stomachs after a visit, which might be mild cases of foodborne illness or just the effect of greasy, heavy meals masquerading as healthy. Remember, a fully loaded burrito can top 1,200 calories and exceed a day's worth of sodium. But the marketing makes you feel like it's clean eating. Fresh veggies, guac, lean protein, etc. That health halo can be misleading. One former manager joked that our burritos are wraps of denial. People think they're eating wholesome, but they'd be better off with a Big Mac calorie-wise. And if you've ever noticed inconsistencies, like your food is cold one time or overly salty another, that speaks to Chipotle's sometimes sloppy execution. Perhaps the biggest risk factor at Chipotle is its reliance on fresh, often raw ingredients like cilantro, lettuce, tomatoes that are prepared in store. If one shipment of lettuce comes in contaminated with E. coli and an employee doesn't wash it properly, every burrito bowl made with that lettuce can become a vector. That's exactly what happened multiple times. For instance, in 2018, nearly 700 people across Ohio got sick after eating Chipotle, and investigators pointed to improperly stored or handled romaine lettuce as the culprit. And unlike a burger chain, Chipotle doesn't cook lettuce or tomatoes. If they're tainted at the farm, that pathogen is going right into your salad. Leafy greens are a notorious source of foodborne illness. E. coli loves romaine, and Chipotle learned that the hard way. For those keeping score, Chipotle's rap sheet includes at least 5 major outbreaks from 2015 to 2018, E. coli across 14 states, salmonella in MN tomatoes, multiple norovirus incidents. The DOJ agreement that led to the $25 fine specifically cited Chipotle for adulterated food and detailed how, for example, that one sick Boston employee caused a massive norovirus wave. It's sobering reading. A reminder that a single lapse, letting a sick person handle food, can sicken scores of people. To Chipotle's credit, they haven't had a headline-grabbing outbreak in a few years since then. Perhaps the painful fine and public scrutiny whipped them into shape. But smaller-scale incidents still pop up on sites like iwaspoison.com, where consumers report getting ill after specific restaurant visits. In fact, a crowdsourced analysis in 2023 found Chipotle had a significantly higher rate of self-reported food poisoning than many competitors. The risk is real enough that some diehard fans admit they play burrito roulette, hoping they don't get the one with undercooked chicken or unwashed cilantro. Beyond safety, there's also a touch of false advertising to address. Chipotle cultivates an image of fresh and healthy, but if you're not careful, your burrito can be a calorie and fat bomb. A Consumer Reports analysis once found that an average order at Chipotle had more calories than a McDonald's meal. Those corn chips? Fried and saltier than the ocean. The guac, delicious as it is, adds a few hundred calories. So if you think you're making a saintly choice by skipping the Golden Arches for Chipotle, just remember a big chorizo burrito can pack as many calories as 3 Big Macs. In summary, Chipotle's promise of integrity has often fallen short in practice. They want to do the right thing, humanely raised animals, locally sourced produce, etc. But when it comes to the execution of safe, high-quality food preparation, they stumbled badly in the past. They might have improved since the dark days of 2015, but the shadow of those outbreaks lingers. Eating at Chipotle shouldn't be a gamble, but for a while it was. And to some extent, it still is, if individual stores slack off. The next time you're in line watching the guacamole guy wipe his forehead with his glove, true story I witnessed, you might think, do I trust this place with my gastrointestinal well-being? If the answer is maybe not, there's no shame in walking out and having a PB&J at home instead. At least you know where that's been. 6. McDonald's, the golden arches of grease and grime. McDonald's, the global icon, the king of fast food, serving 69 million customers a day in over 100 countries. You'd think an operation that massive would have food safety and quality down to a science. In reality, McDonald's has a long history of cutting corners, hiding problems, and hoping sheer consistency and branding will keep customers loving it. But peek behind the curtain of the Golden Arches, and you'll find a world of broken ice cream machines breeding bacteria, questionable meat processing, and rushed workers following the mantra of speed over sanitation. McDonald's might fill your belly in a pinch, but there are plenty of reasons to not be super McLovin' what's going on with its food. Let's start with the running joke everyone knows. The ice cream machine is always broken. It's so prevalent that it's meme culture now. There are websites tracking which McDonald's have functional McFlurry machines on a given day. McDonald's corporate insists nothing shady is going on, but insiders have spilled the truth. Often the machine isn't broken at all. It's just dirty or in a mandatory cleaning cycle. See, the McDonald's soft-serve machine made by Taylor Company has an extremely tedious daily cleaning requirement. It has to heat sanitize itself for 4 hours. If employees don't start that process at the right time, or if an error occurs, it locks up. Many franchise workers admit that sometimes they say it's down just because they don't want to deal with making sundaes or the machine is mid-clean. But disturbingly, former McDonald's maintenance techs have revealed that the machines are often left uncleaned or improperly cleaned, leading to mold and slime buildup inside. In 2022, one brave McDonald's employee posted photos of the goop they found when taking apart the McCafe machine. It was all over the news, showing globs of brown-black slime in the tubes that dispense your frappes. So, when you hear the ice cream machine is broken, understand that it might actually mean we haven't cleaned it and it's too gross to use. One Daily Meal report outright said it's likely your McDonald's ice cream machine is dirty, not broken. Comforting, huh? What about the meat? McDonald's famous slogan was once 100% beef, but that was a bit of marketing sleight of hand. They had a supplier literally called 100% beef so they could claim that. The truth, McDonald's uses cheap cuts of beef, processed in huge factories, treated with additives. They won't detail the grade, but it's certainly not prime steak. In the early 2010s, a scandal dubbed Pink Slime hit the media. It was revealed that McD's and other fast food chains had been using lean, finely textured beef, essentially beef trimmings treated with ammonia to kill bacteria, in patties. This pinkish paste caused such an uproar that McDonald's publicly announced in 2012 that it would stop using ammonia-treated beef trimmings. They claimed the decision was made in 2011 before the news broke, but many remain skeptical. So they removed that, which is good. But even today, a McDonald's burger patty is not just ground chuck. It's a blend of various cuts and fat percentages engineered to hit a cost target, flash frozen, then cooked from frozen on a grill by a timer. If it's undercooked, the worker probably won't notice. They're relying on a machine and procedure that outputs X burgers per minute. In fact, employees have confessed that if a burger comes off a bit underdone, some managers just have them toss it back on the grill for 20 seconds, or worse, microwave it and send it out to avoid waste. Others talk of a practice where during slow periods, burgers that have been sitting too long and should be discarded are sometimes just reheated and served later. One whistleblower even alleged that bits of meat residue and grease that collect on the grill, the gross scrapings from the drip tray, might get scraped up and thrown back onto the grill surface to basically recook in the next batch. A disgusting way to season the grill that potentially introduces charred gunk into fresh patties. Chicken at McDonald's has its own notorious history. The Chicken McNugget, once advertised as made with 100% white meat chicken, might indeed have started as white meat, but by the time it's processed and formed, it's far from just chicken. Everyone's seen the infamous photo of pink goop that supposedly was mechanically separated chicken for nuggets. McD's denies that specific photo was theirs, but the concept is real. They now let you tour some processing plants virtually and claim the pink slime is gone. Even so, a McNugget contains not just chicken, but also things like modified cornstarch, autolyzed yeast extract, flavor enhancer, dextrose, sodium phosphates, and a slew of batter and breading ingredients. They're par-fried, frozen, then final fried at the store. Customers occasionally get a nasty surprise, like biting in and finding a hollow nugget with nothing inside, just fried air, which might actually be the healthiest thing in there. One customer photo of a hollow McNugget went viral. As jokes flew that McDonald's finally made a low-calorie nugget, one might wonder, what happened to the meat? Did it shrink to nothing, or was there never any meat in that chunk of batter to begin with? Either scenario isn't great. Hygiene in McDonald's kitchens varies widely. Many locations are franchised, and some owners enforce strict cleanliness, but others, not so much. Health inspections routinely find issues at McDonald's spots. To give a real example, in 2023, a McDonald's in Michigan failed an inspection where the officer observed an employee handle raw beef patties, then put on a headset and go right to scooping fries, no hand washing. That means raw meat germs potentially going onto your fries. Another location was written up for a moldy ice chute in the soda dispenser, that black slime again. Yet another had rodent droppings under the fryers. The pattern is that many McD's are older buildings with tons of customers and not exactly deep cleaned on the regular. A former McDonald's night shift worker in Florida recounted how management pushed them to close up quickly, which meant skipping a lot of cleaning. We were supposed to break down and sanitize the shake machine weekly. We maybe did it monthly, if that, they said. We'd just rinse parts in hot water and call it a day. Over time, that leads to, well, whatever was growing in those photos we discussed. The employee also mentioned the fryer oil. Corporate says it must be changed regularly, but at their store, they'd sometimes use the same oil for days past its prime to save money. When the fries started coming out brown and bitter from old oil, the boss's solution was to add extra salt and hope customers didn't notice the off taste. So if you ever got an oddly burnt-tasting batch of McDonald's fries heavily salted, you now know why. We can't ignore one of the original McDonald's gross-out scandals, the blob in the sweet tea. A few years back, an employee's video went viral showing them cleaning out a McD's sweet tea dispenser and pulling out a large slimy mold growth, a gooey tea-colored jellyfish-like thing. It horrified viewers, but people who've worked fast food were unsurprised. Those sweet tea urns often sit at room temp all day. If not cleaned well, they will grow stuff. Sweet plus warm equals microbe heaven. It's not unique to McD's, but it is something to keep in mind when you're about to order that 32 Oz. Sweet tea for $1. All that, and we haven't even touched on nutrition or taste. McDonald's fries are legendary. Yes, but mainly because they're fried in oil infused with beef flavoring and salt. The minute they cool, they turn limp and waxy. Burgers are engineered to hit certain flavor profiles: ketchup, mustard, onion, pickle, cheese, all balanced. But the patty itself, often bland and rubbery because it's been steamed under a clamshell grill. One particularly scathing review said a McDonald's burger tastes like a memory of meat. There's the hint of what beef is like, but mostly you taste the condiments and the bun. The Quarter Pounder improved things by cooking meat fresh to order, but not every location executes that well. Sometimes you get a juicy one, other times a dried-out puck. Consistency is actually a problem. Despite the reputation, you can get a bad McDonald's burger these days, undercooked in the center or too much gristle, etc., especially when the rush has workers overwhelmed. One more thing, work conditions. This matters because unhappy, overworked, undertrained employees are not going to handle your food carefully. McDonald's is frequently cited for labor violations, from wage theft cases to employing minors too late or on dangerous equipment. In 2023, there was a report of 10-year-olds found working illegally at a McDonald's in Kentucky. If a store manager is willing to break labor laws to keep the line moving, do you think they'll hesitate to break food safety guidelines too? When the priority is speed, everything else can fall by the wayside. A Reddit AMA with a McDonald's manager once revealed the unofficial motto, "If you have time to lean, you have time to clean." Yet in practice it was, "If you have time to clean, you could be selling fries." Cleanliness gets deprioritized. Despite all this, the pink slime, the moldy machines, the questionable prep, people still flock to McDonald's. Why? It's fast, cheap, predictable, and addictive. Human brains love fat, sugar, and salt, and McD's food is full of it. It's comfort. The company spends billions ensuring that you associate it with happy moments, nostalgia, McNuggets as a kid, etc. And to be fair, not every McDonald's experience is a horror. Most of us have eaten it and been fine. But just know that beneath the shiny surface of the world's biggest restaurant chain lies a lot of grime. The next time you're tempted by the golden arches, think about the stories: the never-cleaned shake machine, the 3-day-old frying oil, the burger that fell on the floor and got picked up, it happens, or the lettuce being handled by someone who just touched raw meat. In short, billions served might also mean billions fooled. Fooled into thinking those kitchens are run like clockwork. The reality is often far from it. Eating at McDonald's is a gamble between your cravings and your better judgment. Sometimes you win, fries. But sometimes you end up with a McMystery in your meal or an urgent trip to the bathroom. We've pulled back the curtain on 6 popular chains. The common thread is cut corners and illusions, image over substance, speed over safety, cost savings over quality. Applebee's microwave dinners, Subway's fake freshness, Taco Bell's lab-made fillings, Olive Garden's factory line Italian, Chipotle's food safety roulette, and McDonald's mass-produced neglect. These are all symptomatic of a food industry that runs on convenience and marketing. They're counting on you not asking questions. They want you to get comfy with the familiar logos and forget about what's happening in the kitchen.